The guy who doesn't text you, doesn't call you, barely even looks at you. He's taking up more space in your head than the guy who would actually die for you. And that should terrify you. I know you don't want to hear this, but stay with me. You think he's stuck in your mind because the connection was different, because what you felt was real, because he saw the real you in a way nobody else did. But that's a lie your brain is telling you. The truth is so much simpler, and honestly, it's going to piss you off. The less he gives you, the more your brain wants him. The less he texts, the more you think about him. The quieter he gets, the louder he is in your head. And the worst part, this has nothing to do with love. It's just your brain messing with you. And once you see what's really going on, you'll realize you've been chasing something that isn't even real. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why your brain won't let go of a guy who barely even talks to you. And way more important, how to get him out of your head without faking it or lying to yourself. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about getting him back. This is about knowing why your mind does this crazy thing so you can stop giving him space in your head, because right now he's not doing anything to earn it. But your brain keeps giving it to him anyway. Let's start with what's actually going on. When a guy stops texting, stops calling, basically goes quiet, your brain doesn't think, oh, he's not interested. Your brain thinks this is a puzzle I need to solve. And here's the thing about puzzles. Your mind hates leaving them unfinished. There's actually a name for this. It's called the Zeigarnik effect. Don't worry about the name. All it means is your brain remembers unfinished stuff way more than finished stuff. That's why you remember the guy who left more than the guy what? Oh, stayed and was boring but showed up every day. The guy who's all in doesn't make your brain work. There's nothing to figure out. But the guy who's hot, then cold, who you can't read, who comes and goes, your brain grabs onto him because there's no clear ending, no answer, no closure. And this is where things get messy. You start filling in the blanks yourself. Maybe he's just super busy at work. Maybe he got his heart broken before and now he's scared. Maybe he's going through something and he'll reach out when he's ready. Your mind is literally making up reasons to keep him in your thoughts because it can't handle the idea that the story is just over. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't your gut talking. This isn't your heart telling you something real. It's your brain trying to finish something that doesn't need finishing. He's not mysterious. He's just a guy who's not trying. But because he's unpredictable, your mind acts like he deserves way more of your time than he actually does. There's also something else happening that makes this way worse. You know how slot machines work? You don't win every time you pull the handle. But every once in a while you do. And that random win keeps you playing. That's exactly what this guy is doing to your brain. He doesn't text you every day. He doesn't call you regularly. But every now and then he does. He sends a random text at 1 a.m. He watches your story. He likes your picture. And boom, your brain gets a little rush. That tiny bit of attention feels like winning. And because you never know when it's coming, it feels even better than if he was texting you the same time every single day. When someone is steady, your brain relaxes. You're not wondering, you're not waiting, you're not checking your phone every 5 minutes. But when someone is all over the place, your brain stays awake. It's watching for the next sign, the next hint that he still cares, the next time he's going to pop up. And that constant watching is what keeps him stuck in your head. You're not thinking about him because he's great. You're thinking about him because your brain focuses on things that feel unclear. Now, here's where most people mess this up. They think the answer is to just stop thinking about him, to keep themselves busy or force themselves to get over it. But that doesn't work because the more you try not to think about something, the more it shows up. Like if I said right now, don't think about a pink elephant, what just showed up in your head? Right. Trying to kick him out just makes him take up more room. The real answer isn't forgetting him. It's understanding why he's there in the first place. Once you see the pattern clearly, it stops controlling you. Let me break down what's really going on emotionally. When someone pulls back or goes quiet, it hits something deep. It's not about him. It's about what his silence makes. you feel about yourself. When he doesn't text, your brain starts asking stuff. Did I mess up? Am I not enough? Why doesn't he want me like I want him? And those questions hurt. So your mind tries to fix it. It replays conversations. It looks at his last message over and over. It searches for clues. It makes up stories in your head where things work out. All of this brain activity isn't love. It's you trying to protect how you feel about yourself. Here's the real truth. You're not obsessed with him. You're obsessed with the approval he's not giving you. His silence feels like he's saying you're not good enough. And that makes you want to prove you are. So your brain keeps him right in the middle of everything because it's still trying to win him over, still trying to make him see what he's missing, still trying to change his mind. But the problem is none of this is happening out in the real world. It's all in your head. You're in a fight that only you are fighting. And he doesn't even know it's happening. This is why letting go feels impossible, because letting go feels like giving up, like saying he won and you lost. And your brain doesn't want that. It wants to keep going. It wants to stay in the game. But here's what you need to see. Staying in your head thinking about him all the time isn't keeping you in the game. It's keeping you stuck. He's not sitting around thinking about you the same way. He's out living his life. He's moved on in his head, even if he hasn't said it out loud. And every day you spend stuck on him is a day you're giving away to someone who isn't even thinking about you. There's another thing happening that makes this even harder. Your brain has this thing where it focuses way more on problems than on good stuff. From way back when humans lived in caves, this kept people alive. Noticing danger was important. But in dating today, this same thing works against you. Your brain treats his distance like a problem that needs fixing. It treats his silence like a danger to your emotional safety. So it keeps coming back to him, trying to figure out what went wrong, trying to find an answer. But there is no answer. Because the problem isn't something you did. The problem is he's not interested enough to show up. And here's where it gets really annoying. Your brain doesn't just think about him randomly. It thinks about him at specific times. Late at night when you're alone. First thing in the morning when you grab your phone. When you're scrolling and see something that reminds you of him. When you're sitting quiet with nothing else going on. These are the times when your mind has room to wander and it goes straight to him. Why? Because thinking about him has become a habit. Your brain has made a path that goes to him whenever there's empty space. And the more you walk that path, the deeper it gets. Breaking this habit means you have to stop it when it happens. When you catch yourself thinking about him, you can't just tell yourself to stop. You have to switch to something else. Right away, call someone, put music on, go for a walk, do something that gets your body and mind moving. The point isn't to avoid your feelings. The point is to teach your brain that there are other places to go when it's got free time. Over time, those new paths get stronger and the old path to him starts to fade. But you have to do it every single time. Let's talk about feelings for a second. When you think about him, you're not just thinking blank thoughts. You're feeling something. Maybe it's missing him. Maybe it's sadness. Maybe it's anger or confusion. These feelings make the thoughts stick. You think about him, you feel something strong, and that strong feeling makes your brain remember it better. So next time your mind wanders, it goes back to him because that's where the big feelings are. This is why you can't think your way out of this. Logic doesn't work when feelings are running the show. You have to deal with the feelings part. One way to do this is by letting yourself feel the feelings without turning them into hope. When you miss him, let yourself miss him, but don't let that missing turn into a fantasy. Don't let it become a story about how he's going to come back or how things could still work. Feel the sad, feel the disappointed, feel the frustrated, and then let it go. Feelings come in waves, they don't last forever. And if you let yourself feel them without trying to fix them or change them, they move through you faster. It's when you fight the feelings or try to make them mean something else that they stick around and keep you trapped. Here's something else you need to get. The version of him in your mind isn't real. You're not thinking about the actual guy. You're thinking about the highlight reel, the best moments, the times he made you laugh, the times he seemed into you, the connection you felt when he was actually present. But that's not the whole story. You're leaving out all the times he didn't show up, all the times you felt confused or hurt, all the times you had to wonder where you stood. Your brain is editing the story to make him look better than he was. And as long as you're holding on to that fake version, you're never going to let go of him. So start remembering the whole story, not to beat yourself up, but to see clearly. Remember the times he left you on red. Remember the plans that never happened. Remember how you felt waiting for a text that didn't come. Remember the nights you went to bed feeling let down because he didn't reach out. That's what actually happened. And when you look at the full picture, not just the good parts, it gets a lot easier to see that this guy isn't worth the space he's taking up in your head. Now let's talk about the fear that keeps you holding on. You're scared that if you let go, you'll miss your chance. You're scared that the second you stop thinking about him, he'll suddenly show up and you won't be ready. You're scared that moving on means closing a door that could have led somewhere good. But here's the truth. If he wanted to walk through that door, he would have already. You're not keeping the door open by thinking about him all the time. You're just standing there refusing to move forward with your own life. And while you're standing there waiting, you're missing everything else that's trying to come to you. Letting go doesn't mean you're giving up on love. It means you're giving up on someone who wasn't giving you love. It means you're making room for something real instead of holding on to something imaginary. And here's what most people don't realize. The second you truly let go, you become way more attractive, not just to him, but to everyone, because you stop giving off that desperate waiting energy. You start giving off confidence. You start giving off fullness. You start showing up as someone who's living their life, not someone who's sitting around hoping for someone else to make their life better. So what do you actually do? How do you get him out of your head without forcing it? First step is simple. Stop feeding it. Every time you check his social media, you're giving your brain new stuff to think about. Every time you replay old conversations or look at old pictures, you're making the pattern stronger. Your brain needs new stuff to grab onto. And if you keep feeding it stuff about him, it's going to keep focusing on him. So cut it off. Unfollow him if you need to. Delete the old texts. Stop looking at his profiles. This isn't about being dramatic. It's about starving the obsession so it has nothing left to eat. Second step is giving your brain something else to focus on. Your brain isn't going to just stop thinking. It needs something to do. So give it something. Get into something else, a new goal, a new hobby, a new project, something that actually helps your life. The more you fill your mental space with things that matter, the less room there is for him. And no, this isn't just distraction, it's replacement. You're not avoiding the feelings. You're just choosing not to let them run your whole inner world. Third step is knowing the difference between missing him and missing the idea of him. Most of the time, you're not actually missing the real person. You're missing the version of him you made up in your head, the potential you saw, the connection you thought was there, the future you imagined. But that version doesn't exist. The real him is the one who's not calling, not texting, not showing up. And that version isn't worth missing. When you catch yourself thinking about him, ask yourself this: am I missing how he actually treated me, or am I missing how I wished he would treat me? That question cuts through the fantasy fast. Fourth step is sitting with the uncomfortable feeling instead of trying to fix it. You want closure. You want answers. You want him to explain why he went quiet or come back and make everything make sense. But closure doesn't come from him. It comes from you deciding the story is over. You don't need his permission to move on. You don't need a final talk or a clear reason. You just need to accept that someone who wanted to be in your life would be in your life. His actions are the answer. The silence is the closure. And once you stop waiting for more, your mind can finally let go. Here's something most people don't talk about. The reason it's so hard to let go isn't because the connection was real. It's because you put so much mental and emotional energy into it. You've spent hours thinking about him, looking for signs, hoping he'd come around. And your brain doesn't want to admit that all that energy went nowhere. It's called the sunk cost thing. The more you put into something, the harder it is to walk away, even when it's clearly not working. But staying in it doesn't make it worth it. It just keeps you stuck. You need to give yourself permission to let it go without feeling like you failed. You didn't fail. You just cared about someone who wasn't ready or able to care back the same way. And that's not about your worth. It's about where he is. Some people just can't show up the way you need them to. And no amount of thinking about them is going to change that. The only thing it changes is how much of your own life you're willing to give up while waiting for someone who's not coming. Let's talk about what happens when you actually start letting go. At first, it feels weird. Your brain is used to thinking about him. It's used to checking for messages. It's used to wondering what he's doing. So when you stop doing those things, there's this strange empty feeling, like something's missing. But that empty feeling isn't a sign you made the wrong choice. It's just your brain getting used to a new normal. And if you push through that weird feeling instead of running back to old habits, something changes. You start noticing how much lighter you feel, how much more present you are, how much mental space you actually have when you're not spending it all on someone who doesn't deserve it. And here's the beautiful part. Once you truly let go, one of two things happens. Either he notices you're gone and starts reaching out because he feels the loss of your attention, or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, you get the clarity you've been avoiding. You realize he was never as into it as you thought. And that realization, as much as it might hurt, is actually freedom. Because now you're not stuck in the middle anymore. You're not waiting. You're not wondering. And knowing, even when the answer isn't what you hoped for, is always better than staying stuck in the not knowing. But let's be real, even if he does come back, you need to ask yourself if that's what you actually want. Because a guy who only shows up when he feels you pulling away isn't showing up for you. He's showing up for his ego. He's showing up because he lost your attention, not because he values you. And if you take him back without anything actually changing, you're just going to end up right back where you started, stuck in your head, wondering why he's quiet, waiting for tiny bits of effort. That's not the kind of connection worth holding on to. The goal here isn't to get him back. The goal is to get yourself back, to take back the mental and emotional energy you've been pouring into someone who isn't pouring anything back. To remember what it feels like to wake up without checking your phone right away to see if he texted. To go through your day without wondering what he's thinking or who he's with. To feel whole and complete without needing his approval to feel okay. That's the real win. Not him coming back, but you coming back to yourself. Let me tell you what changes when you finally stop giving him free space in your head. You start sleeping better because you're not lying awake replaying conversations or checking your phone one more time. You start enjoying your days more because you're actually there in your own life instead of living half in reality and half in fantasy. You start feeling more sure of yourself because you're not constantly questioning your worth based on whether someone texts you back. You start bringing in better people because you're no longer putting out that anxious, waiting energy that pushes good people away. And here's what really happens. You realize that the person you were obsessing over wasn't even that great to begin with. You realize that you built him up in your mind because your brain needed something to focus on, not because he actually earned that spot. You realize that half the connection you felt was just you putting onto him what you wanted him to be. And once you see that clearly, the obsession doesn't just fade. It disappears because you can't obsess over someone once you see them for who they really are. Here's what I want you to remember. Your mind is powerful. It can build entire worlds around one person. It can create stories, meanings, and connections that feel completely real. But just because your mind is focused on someone doesn't mean they deserve that focus. Just because you can't stop thinking about someone doesn't mean they're meant for you. Your brain grabs onto what feels unfinished, what feels uncertain, what feels like a challenge. And that's exactly what he is. A challenge, not a connection, not love, not your future, just a challenge your brain won't let go of. So the question isn't, why is he stuck in my mind? The question is, why am I letting him stay there? Why am I giving this much power to someone who's barely giving me anything back? Why am I holding on to someone who's not holding on to me? Those are the real questions. And when you answer them honestly, you realize that letting go isn't about him. It's about you choosing yourself, choosing your peace, choosing your mental space, choosing to stop playing a game that only you're playing. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't care. It doesn't mean the connection wasn't real to you. It just means you're done letting someone live in your head without paying rent. You're done giving away your energy to someone who's not putting any back. You're done waiting for someone to show up when they've already shown you 100 times that they're not going to. And that's not giving up. That's waking up. That's choosing clarity over confusion. That's choosing yourself over the fantasy. There's one more thing I need you to understand before we wrap this up. The longer you hold on to him in your mind, the longer you block yourself from meeting someone who's actually right for you. Every moment you spend thinking about him is a moment you're not open to someone new. Every bit of emotional energy you pour into this dead situation is energy you could be using to build something real with someone who's actually